Welcome to the University of Findlay Art and Culture Show. I am your host, Sharinda Welton, and we are excited to have on set a very dear friend, Mr. Buzz Sutherland, who is a stand-up comedian. We are so excited to have you here.
I am more excited to be here. I should let everyone know that she is not only a dear friend, but in my Mount Rushmore of student activity board people all across the United States of America, she is the only female on my Mount Rushmore.
Well, thank you for that, Buzz.
Oh, you are the very best.
I not expected that. So we'll get on to the platform of comedy.
Okay.
And you have been doing stand-up comedy for 20 plus years, and you are an amazingly award-winning comedian, not just in the college market, but in other markets also.
Right.
I want to start with the college market, though,
okay.
because that's where we met.
Right.
And I believe the first time I saw you awarded was in Nashville, Tennessee, 2000, and Bob Saget was the MC for the evening. Yeah.
He's different than he is on TV,
oh,
Mommy.
Yes, he is. But it was so fun to see you receive that award. Your family surprised you and flew in to be there for it. It was so cool. And I knew then we were going to be friends.
Yeah.
And
I lost my dad right after that.
Oh.
I forgot about them being there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that's great.
And that year you received Entertainer of the Year,
right,
as well as Comedian of the Year. Right. And you have gone 16 strong in the national college market
right,
with Entertainer, Comedian, you name it, awards of the
right,
year, because you're just that hot of a comedian.
Well, I think it has a lot more to do with when Al Gore invented the internet in 91 or 93 or whatever it was, I had done a radio show. I was on KC95, real rock radio in St. Louis in the 80s, 85 or so. And then around 88, we do this thing called Santa Shams, where we'd call the parents would call in and say, it's 6:30 to 7 o'clock in the morning, my kids are doing this, this, and this. And I'd call them at 7:30 when they were up for going to school. Hey, are you being, ho, 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 are you being mean to your little brother? And they really bought into it. They'd act right. And then one time they said, hey, we're coming back, we don't have anything to do. And I go, I'll do something. And I did Donald Duck having pleasure.
Oh, that feels so good.
And so then when Al Gore invents the internet, the first viral WAV file or MPEG or whatever it is was Duck Job. And so that thing went all over the world. I've literally heard it in Amsterdam, in Singapore, in Australia. It's everybody's heard it. And Howard Stern, Robin Williams, and Adam Sandler all claim to be the ones that did it. And they can't talk like a duck. And so it was really cute. And we all got to be in the green room one time, and we were going in, and Robin Williams goes, oh, I can't wait to see this. And then we went in there, and I said, hey, I want everybody to do the duck thing. But I think that, to get back to your point, is that when I went to college campuses, it was easy to go, hey, we're having a comedian like we're doing tonight. And then they would say, it's the guy that does the duck thing. And they go, oh, gosh. And it was an easy way to fill up an auditorium. And then when they got the ballots to vote for somebody, because there were so many. I mean, Eric O'Shea deserved it so many years. Tim Young deserved it so many years. Vic Henley, oh my gosh, he deserved it just for everything he went through. And he was the best man at my practice wedding. And so so many people deserved it, but I got it because of I was a listener. And that's what I try to teach people these days, is to be a listener. I had the unbelievable apprenticeship of Joey Edmonds. I got to work for my hero, the gentleman that was my agent first, used to be an entertainer in the college market. And I listened to every single thing he said. In fact, when we first met, in the first time we went to Nashville, in that incredible ecosystem they had down there for a hotel at that time, he took me into a hotel room and he said, Buzz, I've written every one of your jokes on a note card. And he would say, this is wonderful, we're never gonna hear it again. And he took my thing and he just threw every single joke that was not it was politically incorrect or whatever, because Nirvana had just come out and everybody was in grunge. Nobody wanted to be in sororities or fraternities. They just wanted to be angry and wear black and just sit around and go, you. And so I did. I listened to what he said, and I tried to represent the activity boards or the student governments and go to colleges, and then it just started to snowball. And then all of a sudden, Joey was telling me, you need to really really pay attention to what you're doing. I started off with Red Skelton, and then Joey introduced me to Jonathan Winters. So I went out and spent some time with John. I used to drive the ambulance in the war.
Oh, man.
And so we'd sit around at Jonathan's house in this big sofa with a table and a big bowl of mints, and we'd eat these mints and be funny for days at a time. And then I learned years later it wasn't mints. But it explained why I was able to stay up for days. And then, but I mean, you learn so much about, there's a time when you have your name tag on and you represent a university, and there's a time when I'm not Buzz, I'm Jeff. But in a cute story with my little boy, Samilam, when Sammy was little, the phone rang at our house and somebody said, "Is Buzz there?" "He's out of town." He'd hang up. But if the phone rings, somebody says, "Jeff home?" "Hey, Dad, it's a real person." And so real people would call Jeff. People who wanted something would call Buzz. And so, and then I got to meet people like yourself and Boyd Jones and all these wonderful people that were just so kind, that had the, not just, "Hey, here's the thing we're going to do tonight. Here's where you're going to perform. Here's your check. Get going." They spent time, they invested in me. I've hosted people stay at my house. I've spent extra time. I've been in weddings. They've been in my weddings. And, you know, it's just a great thing if you take the financial, if you take the ulterior motives out of it, and you start looking at the vein or the thing that goes through, that every single one of the positive relationships I had, from Brooks Signs all the way to Dave Coleman, Craig Cargis, all these people, they have the exact same thing, and that is a genuine care for not only the show, but for, my saying used to be, if you're there on Friday night, the last thing they want to be doing on Monday is apologizing for what happened Friday night, because they've got so much to do. They need to be moving forward. And if you give them some momentum, then that was even better. And so freshman orientation is always a big time for me, because people want to start off on the right foot. Same thing with all the greats, Michael C. Anthony, Craig Cargis, on down the line. They're all really, really big.
Well, and it's really cool because you're talking about a river that runs through. Your river is full of life. You know, so there's some that are stagnant and they don't really move, or they need help propelling. And the greats that you're mentioning along with yourself, your rivers are full of life, and they bring beautiful life. They bring life to the campuses, to the entertainment centers. And the other thing that's a real plus with you is that your comedy is clean. If a university books you, or theater books you, they can count on it being clean, and that it's going to be something that people are going to remember the content, not the cuss words. And that's not many comedians out there are able to do it and have the multiple years of success that you've been able to enjoy. And it's funny because I know that I often hear you say that you're the comedian of the seas. And it's really neat because we're not changing from a river to the SEAC. We're talking about the letter C. And so you've been in colleges.
Well, I started off in comedy clubs. Okay, I was in comedy clubs. And then I went to colleges when I met Joey Edmonds. Hello, Buzz. And so, and I'm still in colleges. This will be 3,000 something tonight. I know the answer because IRS keeps up with it really, really well. But and in colleges allowed me to get into corporates, and then corporates allowed me to get into churches, and then churches, because people would go with their spouse to see an event at their thing and say, "We ought to have them at our church." And once you get back to your original point, was that no, Buzz can be, you don't just get named Buzz, you work at it. And so Buzz can be a different thing, but when you're representing a brand or you're representing an institution, I felt that there was so much responsibility that I really think that it's important to point out that people advertise as being clean comedians all the time, but then they've only got 8 minutes worth of clean. There's still 52 minutes left in that show, and you don't understand what you can do in 1 minute, and how much horrible things can happen in 1 minute, or 5 minutes, or 10 minutes, or 50 minutes. I mean,
unless you've been there and done that.
Purdue, I was at Purdue 25 years in a row, and then they went another direction. The year they went another direction,
they called you back.
They had to shut it all down because the guy did something that was just absolutely. But the fact of the matter is, you have to have respect. And I've gone from being the most egotistical, narcissistic individual in the world to being very humbled by the fact that you're talking about the river. There's so many waterfalls in my river, and they hurt so bad when I look back on the people I hurt, or the things that hurt me. But when I look back at those waterfalls now, they're gorgeous because they made me who I am today.
And so you have also been, in addition to the campuses and the college or the churches and corporate, you've also gone cruises.
Oh,
so
yes.
there are people that when they see you online in social media,
Right.
your YouTubes, they're like, I saw him live and that was so amazing.
Right.
And then that evolved into something that's very passionate for you
Right.
and has taken you around the world in addition to cruising, and that's our military.
Yes, all 5 branches. And
you've had some really touch and go opportunities to make a difference and help soldiers laugh when there wasn't a lot to laugh about.
yeah, I'm a grown man in my mid-50s, and I have people all the time come up to me in airports or mostly airports, it seems like, or whatever. But and I always go cupcake or pumpkin, because that's the people I get at Puddin'. I get them to that's what I use as names. Hey Puddin', hey Cupcake. That's how you usually gets close enough that they know, oh, that's Buzz.
Yeah.
But when somebody comes up to me and shakes my hand and says, I was in Fallujah when you performed, and I've done over 1,700 shows for the military, but over 430 in kill zones. And so that's something else. Like, people are saying, well, what about during a pandemic? How weird is this going to be? It's not ever going to be as weird as hearing live gunfire when you're doing that. But at the same time, to our 5 branches, I cannot tell you what kind of, I mean, Sharinda, after the show, there's 8,000 troops. After the show, I have a table set up to give away T-shirts. You have one, Quienes tu papa, Tango KSPP. And so I give away shirts and DVDs. It's all free, but there's 8,000 in line. Every single one of them gets in line to shake my hand, and they don't care if they get anything, but they want to say, thank you so much for giving me 2 hours where I didn't think about my bills or my family or my kids or or getting shot or whatever, or having to go back and dig a trench. Thank you for giving me that 2 hours. And the first time I ever went over there and I got to experience that, I said after that, I'll never take another dollar for doing it. And so anything in the United States, in the lower 48, I get paid. But when I go across and I go somewhere, then I was doing it completely with the Department of Defense, and they took very good care of me, but I never took a dime for it. And I learned that I could get on a cruise ship in Civitavecchia in Italy, and then ride that cruise ship all the way back to the United States and do one show for like $12,000 and be on a cruise ship. And I was going, wait, I can have my cake and eat it too.
Yes,
and so it's been a wonderful, wonderful thing. But cruises, colleges, I've done twice as many colleges as I've done corporate, military. I think that I'd have to say military has been my favorite show. My most wonderful relationships I've got from my job have been from the college market, whether it be other entertainers or the people like yourself that are leaders on campuses that. And I can't stress to anybody watching this, if you have the opportunity to get involved, if I could turn back time, then I would have gotten involved with student activities, because you get to do so many things and see them from a different light. And I wouldn't have had so many interventions or so many different rehabs and stuff like that, or I wouldn't have been as confused going through a time like we are right now. You can get a lot of answers by being around people who are in the know and that have a bigger scope of what's going on and can give you some kind of, okay, well, there is hope, and laughter brings us hope. I think that in any time that there is something going on in the world, there's 2 things that do not have a recession, and that's, of course, healthcare, because everybody needs to be healthcare, but the arts. People need to really, really focus on the arts, because it gives you hope. Laughter, feeling, emotion, it gives you something to live for. And being a person of faith, and I am, I think that everybody needs something to bridge to that. And my bridge is representing my faith and my family, and of course your brand here at the University of Findlay. And so at the same time, there's nothing better than when they say, please welcome, and then how about another hand for that 59 minutes and 59 seconds between those 2 things. I'm getting goosebumps right now because how much I love to be up there.
Yeah. And it's a gift that you share with us and so many on a regular basis. And it's just been so much fun to watch you grow through the years, and also to watch you metamorphosize. So thank you for
Well, I was
that
a worm. I
honor.
wasn't a caterpillar, but
Thank
now I
you.
think I'm a butterfly.
Yeah, you are. And our relationship's been 21 years old. That's awesome.
Yeah,
There's
that's
not-
wonderful. I mean, it's
there's-
absolutely wonderful. And you're eighth in line as for the longevity of people that I mean, and then if you get into entertainers and those are
That's
friends.
where it gets tough. In the entertainment industry, it's tough to find the genuine people. It's like your son said, there's Jeff and there's Buzz.
Right.
And where do I fit in, and who's calling me because I'm this, and who's
Right.
genuinely calling. And so I think it's really special that you've had Joey, you've had Vic, and
Yeah.
unfortunately we've lost both of them.
Right.
But I lost my best friend, it'll be 2 years right now,
Right.
ago, and what I've realized is they go on to other places and they send us other earth angels.
Right.
We're
Oh,
not
amen.
forgotten, we're
Yeah.
not left behind. And so you're going to do that in your performances also. It's like you said, you give a respite and you give encouragement through laughter and a time for people to be able to just breathe. And sometimes it's gasping for air out of laughter, but
Right.
it's a breathing zone. And so that is really, really
Well, the point,
special and
it is. I
incredible.
mean, but how cool is it when I meet somebody, and this has happened, that I meet somebody and they say, they're the activity director at such and such, SUNY Aniana or something, and then they say, yeah, I don't know if you remember me, but I was on the board with Sharinda. And then, so you have so many people that go out there. And I have to,
And that's awesome too, because I tell my students all the time, make sure you get to know these people because they have connections and you may be hiring them for your corporate in
Right.
the future.
Right.
You want to build relationships with them so they know you when you're booking them for
Right.
something. Yeah, it's a great opportunity all the way around.
Well, when
So-
I got started, I was at the University of Missouri playing football, and we got beaten 63-0 by Oklahoma one time, something like that. It was mostly my fault, all of it. It's covering a guy way faster than me, and every time they threw it, I'm like, God, he's throwing it. Where'd you go? Oh, he caught it. And then on the way back to my dorm, I'm walking, and there's all these people lined up to go in the building. And I go, what's going on here? And they says, a comedian. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. And so I go up to the front. Well, I was from Alabama, and so being in Missouri, I didn't know what was going on. My mama calls these my magic shoes. And so this lady goes, oh, he's really funny. You can stand right here, but it's all sold out. And they said, ladies and gentlemen, this is in 82, 84, something like that. The University of Missouri welcomes Jerry Seinfeld. This little kid walks out in blue jeans, a white T-shirt, and a black jacket, like all comics did back in the 80s.
Yep.
And he goes, football is a stupid game. The place goes crazy because we just got our butts kicked,
Right.
63-0. And they started dying laughing, and I go, is he getting paid for this? She goes, oh, he's doing quite well. Well, little do we know, he's going to go on to make over $800 million with a little show called Seinfeld. And so
yeah.
I left. I went back and I got my stuff and left that night. Went back to St. Louis and went on stage. And when I went on stage, I had 3 minutes of material. I did it. Came off stage, and this lady goes, we want you to be a part of a charity. And I said, I'm a comedian. That's what we do is give back. I've been a comedian now for 3 minutes. And so it ended up being the very first HBO comic relief with Whoopi Goldberg, Robin Williams, and Billy Crystal. And so I went out there, and we sat down at the table, and they said, everybody, this is Jeff Sutherland at the time, Jeff, you'll go on and do an hour, then you'll come back and rest. And all I heard was an hour, and I'm going, I got 3 minutes. And so then I heard, and then Jeff, you'll come back on and do another hour. And I'm going, okay, I got 3 minutes. And then, but what I'm getting to is I've had so many people open for me.
Yeah.
And they'll say, I don't know if you remember, but I was at your show when you were at Gator Growl at the University of Florida, and I'm going, well, there were 78,000 people there, so I don't remember your face, but it's really a great thing. It's one of the biggest feathers in my cap when I can give somebody else what was given to me, and that is hope. I mean, we all need hope these days. We all need to know it's going to be okay, and it is. It's going to be okay.
Well, thank you so much for being here.
It was my pleasure.
And we look forward to continuing to follow your successes because you still are on social media.
Yes.
So people can find you, Buzz Sutherland.
.com.
Yep. And you've got a great website.
Oh, thank you.
It's so fun. And then you have been on some cable shows that are rerunning as well as
Well, I
they're
went
now
on the-
available on YouTube.
Well, the YouTube's got stuff on there, but everything, when I went to work for the DOD, was wiped. And so only my thing at the Grand Ole Opry, which is on my website, and some other little things are still out there. But most of all my stuff that I ever did on television has been wiped. And so, because of facial recognition. And so The best thing about it is
DOD's Department of Defense.
Department of Defense,
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
And I worked at the Secret Service, and so I got to go.
And
can
you're
go
saying
where nowhere else can go.
So you're saying because of that, you had to wipe stuff.
They wiped everything. I mean, if you go
Yeah.
look for me on Caroline's or Comedy Central or Evening at the Improv or any of those things I did from when they got hot in the late 80s and the 90s, there was HBO Comic Relief,
Yeah,
HBO. Remember, HBO was the thing that the movie would end at 9:40. They didn't have anything to 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
So they'd have,
Hi, everybody. Guess what?
they'd have somebody come on and talk like a duck or whatever, and then the next movie would start at 10. And so now they just started at 9:40. They don't have Chuckle Boy come on anymore. But you know what? If you want to see me, it's so easy because I'm touring and I'm always somewhere near somebody. And if you can't see me, keep up with you and all the entertainers that come to the University of Findlay or any of the universities you see around there have really gone through the rigmarole with either NACA or APCA to find out if they're worthy of being advertised to be on these stages, because it is a lot that goes through it. There's a lot of times you got to rescan and send and sign and re-sign and then get there and they still go, you remember we have to, and I mean, even at the University of Notre Dame, the duck thing, that's why they had me there, but they wouldn't let me do that duck thing on stage. But they'd always have me before the show come back and do it for them.
Yeah.
Father Peter's never heard you do this.
Oh, that feels so good. Who's your daddy? Tell this to Papa.
Do you know I had to learn that? And I've been to 126 countries now. And I have always had to write things on, like if you say, tengo que hacer pipí,
I have to go party.
in Spanish, you have to go to baño as a bathroom, but a little kid wouldn't say that. They'd say,
Tengo que hacer pipí.
means I have to go potty. And
Tell this to Papa.
who's your daddy? And then ik hou van jou is Norwegian. I just had to learn all these different things. But every night I'm going out there with stuff written all over my arms going like this because like even in Vegas, I was out there for about 10 minutes and people were just doing this.
They were deaf.
They were deaf, and I had no idea. It seems like the guy would have told me, but and then somebody did during the show. I'm like, I'm hoping this means something good. And then I see somebody signing, and they said, yes, that means that's
They're
laughter.
laughing.
It's
They're
laughing.
laughing and clapping.
Oh
and
my
saying,
gosh!
give us more. Give us more.
And that's what is so special about this college environment, is because it's inclusive. There's nobody that's left out, and I think that's where we need to work towards. I think that's what this big piece of dirt needs, is everybody to be on the same team, to be inclusive, and to be able to respect differences rather than judge in something that you have no idea what you're talking about, because it's wrong.
And on that, we're going to say thank you for tuning in.
Well, thank you, Sharinda, for having me. I really can't tell you how much and how jealous. So, I mean, there's literally over 100 artists that have gotten in touch with me and said, hey, while you're there, will you tell her that I'm still doing it, okay? I'm there tonight. And know that what a difference you've made, not only in my life, but to so many thousands of students. And whether they got into student programming or whatever, they took a little SW with them wherever they went.
Well, thank you.
You're more than welcome.
Thank you. And thank you. We look forward to seeing you again soon on the Art and Culture Show. Until then, be well.
Bye-bye.